been having some hard starting problems ever since I've owned the car. But I've been going through the wiring after I put in my MSD Atomic, and I'm still cleaning it up. I've tried all kinds of tricks to make it start when the engine is hot because it cranks slow. And I've determined I have too much voltage drop over the starter wire, which is a common problem that a lot of people don't work for. I even resorted to putting in relays that can actually run the power directly from the battery to my ignition components when the ignition is switched on. Ran a fat charging cable to my Optima red top battery. I have fuse block. I have a remote starter solenoid. Over the years, none of this stuff has actually worked to make the car reliably start when it's hot. So what I'm doing now is going straight to my starter. Oh yeah, I've even replaced my starter twice, thinking I had heat soak in my starter. And don't make all the mistakes I made. What I'm doing now is what I'm sure is gonna work. I'm installing wire the size of a baby's arm to go directly to my starter. And I'm gonna redo my grounds, my top three with this 1 gauge wire. Now, one key thing, as you can tell by the old starter wire, my connector just pulled off. That's probably a lot of my problem right there, because I was younger and stupider and did not use this bad boy. 20 bucks on Amazon, a 0 gauge wire crimper. Ordered some new contacts, ordered some silicone caps for them.
Could you try again?
Hush. Ordered some silicone caps for them. Giant wire.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
Shut up. I am positive this is gonna work. So I'm gonna replace this wire completely. That's why I just cut it. I'm gonna replace this wire completely with the 1 gauge. And then I'm going to run the car, get it nice and hot. But as you can see, I've done everything. 150 amp alternator, 4 gauge cables everywhere else. I have 4 gauge ground to my chassis right here. You can see it right there from the battery. Also to my block right there. I've got 2 other 4 gauge grounding straps in the back with this same wire. Still has the problem. It's got to be a crappy starter wire. So I'll let you know how it works. Okay, wire is crimped and put together using the industrial crimpers. And I also did a good job on the heat shrink. And I installed this just to look good, but also because it's going to be down by the starter and the header. It gets real hot down there. So this will be the end that's by the header. And it kind of looks cool too. Next step is a solenoid wire. And if you can solder, you better solder. You should do this on all of your connections if you have the capability. But I crimped it and then I soldered it just to make double sure that this thing is going to have a good connection. You would not believe how many problems are actually caused by poor connections. And crimping a crappy Dorman connector with a crappy pair of pliers is not the answer. I'm down under the car. I ran my wire. I have that protective sheet on it, and I ran both my wires through it just to be safe. Keep them both heat shielded, and there it is, going up. It's too fat to fit through the stock wire shroud, but I think I'll be okay with that protective sheet on it. I'm also going to use metal zip ties to zip tie that to the metal shroud. But I bolted them up so they're good to go. Put another zip tie on my heat wrap for my starter. And then this big fat cable now with my 2 wires in it goes up and it comes out behind my power steering pump right next to the remote starter solenoid, which is also where my battery is. So I can hook the battery cable up to the battery and the solenoid wire up to the solenoid. Well, that was it. It worked. It just started it about 5 times in a row after it got to operating temperature. See, it's up about 180 now. Was up to 200 earlier. Good to go.